Welcome back to Awareness, everyone. Today we are exploring the history of South Carolina's first Black-owned bank. A little history lesson. It started and opened back in 1921 as Victory Savings Bank, and it was located in the center of Columbia's Black Business District on Washington Street. The bank was chartered by well-known Black activists, President I.J. Joseph and Vice Presidents I.S. Levy and C.E. Stevenson. In 2019, the bank was renamed to Optus and moved locations to where it stands now on Main Street. Optus Bank is one of 18 Black-owned banks in the entire country. Joining us today to talk more about the history of Optus is Benita Lefft, the Executive Vice President and Chief Operations Officer of Optus Bank. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
I'm so glad that you're here because Optus Bank, I know people pass it all the time, and they really may not know the history inside of the walls of that bank. So, Benita, obviously, I know you weren't around in 1921. But take us back to that time, and from being an employee with the bank, tell us what was the reasoning for those Black activists, those prominent people in the Black community to say, hey, we need a bank for our community.
Right. Well, 100 years ago, if you think about what was happening in our communities, in our country, in our state, we were we were segregated. And businesses, people, consumers did not have access to capital. They didn't have access to banking in order to buy homes for their families or get working capital for their businesses. They just didn't have that. So we decided as Optus and our predecessors that we needed to do something about that. So these powerful men, business people, took it into their own hands to ensure that the businesses that existed on Washington Street had the access to capital and that we had control over our future and our destiny.
And it's really amazing like that, and you think about it. We're talking about 1921, and Black people opened their own bank. But in the same sense, though, even though segregation was happening, Jim Crow laws, it was still a booming Black business district at that time, which meant so much for the community.
Well, it did, because we supported our own. We supported the businesses. That's where we thought about shopping. We would go and support those Black businesses who were a part of our community, the people that we lived in with our neighborhoods and all of that. We would support. We would support each other. And money is power, if you will, and where we spend our money is important. And we chose then to put our money into our communities and into our future.
And over 100 years later, Optus, formerly known as Victory, has continued to not only survive, but thrive. We're going to go to break in a moment, but before we do, I want you to give us a little teaser on how the bank has been able to thrive for over a century.
I believe that we have held true to the mission and original vision of those three men that you mentioned. It is very much to turn, our mission is to turn opportunity into wealth.
Thanks so much for sticking with us here on Awareness. Optus Bank, formerly known as Victory Savings Bank, opened in 1921, and it remains to be the first Black-owned bank in South Carolina. It was founded by Black business leaders for the Black community during segregation, and today, over 100 years later, the bank has kept that same dedication, but it continues to evolve to help everyone in the community. We're picking up our conversation with Benita Lefft, the Executive Vice President and Chief Operations Officer of Optus Bank. Benita, thank you so much for sticking here with us.
Thank you so much.
So before the break, we were talking about the history of Optus. It was founded in 1921 by Black business leaders during a time of segregation, and it was founded by Black people for Black people. Bring us up to speed on what Optus is doing now in 2023, as it still holds the title as the state's first Black-owned bank.
Thank you for that. Well, we have going on at Optus Bank. We offer products for both consumers. We focus on affordable housing. We focus on startup loans for businesses. In addition, we assist businesses with managing their treasury services, managing the money, ensuring that they have access to as much money, right, as they can. So when you look at the mission of our bank, we are a minority depository institution. We are chartered to serve the needs of our underserved communities. And it's our job to go out and look for those businesses, those consumers in the community that need to be educated. Technical assistance is something that we offer. If a business is starting and they need help on their business plan, we have partners that we deal with to help them grow those business plans and position themselves to get the working capital that they need. The other piece we're very focused on, believe it or not, we are delving into solar lending.
Okay. So what's that?
Solar lending, if you think about the solar panels that are, that are in our residences, or if you think about manufacturing, because I need to mention that we make loans of all sizes. It could be a $3,000 loan, or it could be a $10 million loan for a business expansion.
Yeah.
So we would loan money to consumers because a lot of times our communities may not know the benefit, right, of solar lending. So we are looking at ways to educate our communities on that. It helps you save money on your energy bills and things like that. If we loan money to a business that happens to employ, and that's our part of our charter as well, folks who are businesses who are investing in our communities, if they happen to have solar energy to help with our environment or whatever, we will lend to those. So that's a new initiative for us, but our primary role, I would say, is to help build generational wealth.
That's so important because when I think about 1921 and the whole principle and the mission of what Optus Bank was founded on by those powerful Black business leaders, you're still continuing that mission today. Why is that so important?
Well, it's important because as we build generational wealth, that's how we control our future. And I say that it's the future of our families, it's the future of our communities, because like it or not, economic empowerment, it's about money and being able to uh, get money, right? Give money, if you will, to assist our communities. So it is vitally important that we invest in opportunities for affordable housing. Because if you own your studies show that folks who own their own houses can pass on that generational wealth. If you own your own business, it's a legacy that you can pass on. And that's important. That helps a low to moderate income individual move up, that economic ladder. So for us, our mission is to do what we can. We can't rely on broader, larger financial institutions to do that for us. We play an important role in the financial ecosystem to care for ourselves. And we are laser focused on that. Our bank, under the leadership of our current board, led by Paul Mitchell, our president, Dom M. Yarton, we're basically looking at focusing on the mission of Optus Bank. Our bank has grown over 600% in assets lately, and we have plans to expand in a new location on Bull Street, not too far from here.
Oh, nice.
As well. So,
what's the timeline on that?
Well, we're looking for 2023, by the fourth quarter of 2023. Okay. So we are alive and well, and we are expanding, growing, and looking at what we can do to penetrate not only the Columbia market, but we also have impact statewide and beyond.
I was going to ask, I know that Optus was founded here in Columbia, but it's a plan at some point to go into other parts of the state.
Well, our strategic plan, we're looking at Charleston. We have a market president in Charleston. We're gathering deposits and we've made loans there. Greenville, we're looking there, and those markets are. Some people say, "Oh, they're a little saturated," but remember our mission.
Yeah,
our mission is to serve the niche of folks who are not served by those but those majority institutions. So we're looking at that, and who knows, uh, maybe in the southeast, over time. You mentioned we're one of 18 minority depository institution, and we are not quite a dinosaur, but yes, because there were many more.
Mm-hmm.
And I just credit our current board and the presidents and others before who wanted to hold true to the mission of Optus Bank.
Yeah, well, Benita, thank you so much. That was great information, and I'm happy to hear everything that you're doing for the community with specifics on the minority community and the low moderate income areas. Very important. Before we wrap up, how can people learn more about Optus Bank and how to open an account with you guys?
Basically, you can go to our website, at optusbank.com, or you can visit any of our locations. We have a Premier Banking Center location at Main Street. We have a location at Sumter Street as well.
Benita, thank you so much for coming on the show.